Hello guys, and welcome to a new Star Division 2 video today by me, Vulcan. In this one I have for you a 1 versus 1 on Slutsk East, and I'm going to be playing against Badgerjelly in what is my first game in round 1 of the Steel Division League Season 9. It has begun, and Badgerjelly is my first matchup. So this is our first game out of 2 games that we're going to be playing. I opted to go for Gruppe Harteneck in this one with the Vanguard deployment type, and Badgerjelly has the 2nd Guards Tank Corps with the Maverick deployment type. So I was quite confident going into this with this division. I'll leave the picks and bans in the description if you guys are interested in that, but I can't remember them off the top of my head. I'll leave both the map bans and also the pick and ban for the divisions down there, so you guys can kind of understand why we ended up on the divisions that we did. But yeah, Gruppe Harteneck to me was a good division to have for this map, just because it has pretty strong infantry, so I can contest the town, and it also has things like tigers that can contest the open. I was a bit worried that his pick of the 2nd Guards would mean that he might focus more heavily on the open, because he will have things like T-34, 85, 1944s, as well as ISU 152s, which are both kind of difficult to deal with, particularly the ISU 152s, because they are now cheaper. So his open ground control is a little bit better than mine, I would say, overall. So what I had opted to do anyway, since I'm quite confident with the Gruppe Harteneck infantry, was focus on the town, and getting up this hill and making sure I secure this position is super important on this map, especially on this side. I personally think that the side that Badgerjelly is on is the better side, because you get more of the hill at the start, and then all you need to do is just push your opponent off the edge of the hill and you get control over this flag and also overwatch over this flag. So for me, it's super important that I hold this early on and contest it. So you can see I'm sending quite a lot this way. I've got a Sus troop on this right road with the Grunführer. I've got the Harteneck Kosaken with the 45mm that's going to be unloading, looking up the road. I've also got a T-34 as well there. And then on the left side, I did double Sus troop, 2 Harteneck, got the Grunführer with a 45mm again, which is going to be heading up to this little patch of trees to kind of cover the open for me on the left. I've got a VK that's going to be providing close range 20mm fire support, Panzer for a little bit of ranged infantry, Harteneck for more mid-range infantry, and then a T-34 and a Panzer III being great for the HE fire support against infantry at close range. Then over on this side, I did deploy an AT gun and an FK231 on the left hand side. This is an artillery piece, but they're only 50 points, so you can kind of use them like infantry guns. But Badgerjelly at the start here going to be bringing in the U2s. These do have 50kg bombs on them. They come with 4 50kg bombs. They can do a reasonable amount of damage to infantry. That's what he's going to be trying to take advantage of early on. So coming in here with the bombing strike, looking for my Kosaken in the church, and does do a decent chunk of damage there. He's also looking for the 45mm on this side, but unfortunately misses that. But yeah, on the left, Kosaken moving up, got the Harteneck Grunführer here as well. Sos troop moved up to the mid to contest that building, and my Panzer on the left are currently engaging the SG-43. I've also brought over the BF-109 G6 R6 at the start, which is going to be shooting down one of those U2s, and then ends up almost shooting down the second, but it manages to get out in time. He's brought up a decent amount of AA early on. It's doing a lot of damage to my BF-109, but my BF-109 going to be able to get away with it. Managing to deal with his Flamer squad at close range here. Now I'm up against a Sapere. I'm trying to get the Molotov forwards from the Sos troop so that I can kill this before he throws his TNT. But he does manage to get it off. The Harteneck do take a chunking. But ultimately, my Harteneck are holding back the Gavadia DP, and I've controlled the close range here, which is good, because it's exactly where I want to be. He does have the 1311 advantage early on, but my Kosaken find and kill the Tankos, so that's good. I've just got to deal with the M2A1, and that's going to give me back that flag on the left side. Taking out the Gavadia DP gives me the flag on the hill as well, the offensive flag that is. Now I've just got to rely on my 2-star T-34 killing his T-34. I'm hoping that my 2 vet will help me. He bounces off my front armor. I actually get a penetration, so a little bit lucky for me there that he didn't penetrate whilst I did. He starts moving, I just commit the shot, and I find the second penetration. So that was a good engagement for me for sure. Also, meanwhile, on the right hand side here, I'm trying to creep up the T-34 to engage the BA-10M to take that out. Light Jaeger going to be moving up though with the Panzer III in support. 45mm also getting some fire down onto the Gvardi DP, and since they're out in the open, they're actually taking quite a lot of suppression, which is going to make them less effective against my Light Jaeger at distance. The Light Jaeger don't really do too well at a distance. Anyway, on the left side, BF-109 G6 R6 bringing that in for the strafing run onto the half track just to try and get rid of that pressure. Meanwhile, T-34 moves up, takes out the BA-64, and the VK is now engaging the Gvardia, but my Panzer III is being shot at by an AT gun, so going to be trying to get that back into cover ASAP, but a little bit too late for my Panzer III there, and it's going to be going down to that AT gun. Meanwhile, Light Jaeger start engaging the Sapli, so he decides to peek with the BA-10M, but he spots my T-34, and I'm going to end up killing the BA-10M for that. So after this initial start, I'm very happy with my positioning on the hill. I do want to get rid of this half track on the left, and then I'll be pretty happy here because I have the 45mm covering the road. I've got the infantry gun here covering against any infantry. They're going to be trying to go across the open, and I'm not being put under pressure here at the moment, so that's all very good. So BF-109 coming in from the left takes out one of the U-2s. He's going for the right Jaeger there, does find it. I managed to take out the second U-2 though, and I'll take those two recon aircraft. He's going to have, I think, like 4 or so, I think it's about 4 you get on a card, so that wasn't too bad. But I am going to be losing the BF-109 to the enemy AA. 45mm engaging the ZIS-3. My rate of fire here really helping me win that engagement, so that was good for me. Going to be pinning that down. Hasselhock going to be coming up as reinforcements. The Light Jaeger looking to potentially get more ground up on the hill, just constantly reinforcing that. Meanwhile, T-34 does get shot at from the hill. I'm going to have to back that up into cover. You can see I've got it like in the gardens here, so I'm just utilizing the line of sight to make sure that I can shoot the Zapoli whilst not being in line of sight of the T-34. 2 more U-2s on the way. He's looking for my 45mm AT guns, get rid of those. And meanwhile, I used the Kosaken to kill the half-track with the open-top grenades. And the other thing that I managed to do was micro the Stoss troop into the building, and every time the flamer would fire its flames, I would jump back out of the building and then jump back in. Although, actually, I think in this case it might have been too close to use its flames, which is why I got that pretty easy. But both of the 45mm is going to be going down to the U2s. Meanwhile, in the town, I did end up losing the T-34 to the T-34-85, I believe, just because I was looking elsewhere at the time. This 3 does come in, take out the T-34 on the hill, and now I'm starting to worry a bit, because if he can get some armor up here, he can really contest my infantry nicely. But he's kind of in a position where I'm getting very close to being on top of his AA, as well as this ZIS-3. So I'm currently letting the Hasselhock just commit to the engagement with the 25. The M2A1 coming forwards is obviously not ideal, so going to have to back off from that. Now the 20mm from the VK going to be able to deal with the half track. Jump out of the building just a little bit too late, but we trade Molotovs, so the Tankos do get pinned. PE2 going to be coming in with a bombing strike, looking for the Hasselhock. U2 is still hanging about, providing more recon. I haven't invested in any AA yet because I'm just very committed to getting more infantry on this hill and maintaining this position, because if I can take control of the hill here, then I can also put pressure on this flag from the hill. So that was kind of the plan. I'm also, in the meantime, putting pressure over here, getting my Panzergrans really up onto that flag. Got the free flag over here. And yeah, the Kosaken just seeing the OB on that side. The great thing about these as infantry guns is not only can they kill infantry pretty fast, but I can indirect fire that in order to get shots onto the OB. So I really like those units. I think they're great. Anyway, Panzergrens getting a little bit too close for comfort with the flamers there. Only 1 man remaining, so the OB going to be helping to kill that off. Meanwhile, Stoss troop do go down to the Tankos, but take plenty with them, and the Hasselhock here with the 2 vet now with the Grenfjord are going to be able to finish those off. So things are quite extreme at the moment, but with my position now on the hill, I'm going to put my power onto the right side. So I'm bringing up a Tiger, bringing up a Jagdpanzer, and I'm also going to be bringing up the AA to help those out. And you can see at this point I was floating a little bit, because I was focusing so much on my infantry micro. So I ended up having quite a lot of spare points. I am Vanguard deployment type at the end of the day, so it makes sense that I do have a lot of points in Phase A. But yeah, this Tiger and the Jagdpanzer going to be the combination that I'm going to use to try and engage not only this T-34-76, but also the T-34-85-1944. Technically at range, the Tiger should beat the T-34-85, as long as I, you know, don't get unlucky. Because he will still have like 30% penetration or something at max range, whilst I'll have like 80% or something. So I definitely have the percent advantage, but for those of you who have watched my content in the past will know that that doesn't matter. Anyway, Tiger's gonna finally be hitting the T-34 after missing a couple shots. Jagdpanzer, I'm trying to get this closer so that I can engage the T-34-85 with the APCR. Meanwhile, on this side, Stormtroop do go down, BA-64 being used aggressively. Really like the BA-64. It's a nice armoured car that you can use aggressively in these sorts of situations to find out what's ahead of you without enemy light arms fire being able to take it out. So, good use by Badgerjelly there. Pushes me out of this position, takes back this flag, which stops the 15-9 that I had against him. And since he's playing Maverick, he's playing for Phase B. So he wants to get into Phase B and then use his income advantage that he can build over Phase B to win the game. At the moment, it's Phase A still, so I still technically have the advantage, and I will have the advantage income-wise for like the next few minutes after Phase A. So it's really up to me to capitalize on my position here, ASAP. So I am bringing in a couple of Panzergrens to recover this position, and I've also got a Sturm and a Tiger E on the way. So the Sturm being my 2,000 meter range HE fire support, and the Tiger, of course, there to counter any T-34-85-1944s that are on their way. 25 mil, going to be engaging my Panzergrens up on the ridge, but I am technically in range with those to engage with the MG42, so I was almost killing that. But again, you can see the problem with him losing the hill. He has decided to bring an off map. He does end up killing off the Stormtroop here as well with the AT gun on the left. But this position on the hill allows me to take care of his armor, so I've taken care of the T-34, both the 76 and the 85. And now, with my troops moving forwards on the ground, I'm able to spot his Panzerschreck and his guards, and my Panzergren plus the Jagdpanzer are now hitting those as well, making it very, very difficult for him. BA-64 going to be going down to the Tiger E. Meanwhile, on the left, Badger's trying to push up a little bit with the Flamers here. But I'm going to be starting to arty this. You can see I've already artied the OB and taken that out. So this FK231 waiting for the next attack. P2 coming in, trying to get my BF109 on target. I do have 4 20 mils here, so there is quite a lot of damage, but that bombing strike does hit nicely. It takes out my VK. I am able to take out the enemy 25, which is going to save my BF109. So that was quite clutch. But yeah, just taking out the flamers on that side. Meanwhile, still pushing out on the right. Stormtroop able to get up unimpeded, which was really nice. Here I probably could have dropped some smoke to make sure my Grundfjord get into position, but I wasn't taking too much damage. Trouble with Soviet infantry is they can lack damage sometimes, especially at a distance, even though they got 2 DPs there. But with that unit going down and the guards being pinned, you can see I've now got control over this flag and this flag, both of these being offensive flags. So all of these 3 I've taken off of Badgerjelly, and I've also got this flag here. This one actually starts on my side, but here goes the artillery again, and you can see the radius there of this artillery is actually pretty small, so able to pick off those units. Stormtroop going to be moving up, Gunfjord supporting those, more off map coming down this time onto my AA. He's trying to clear out the AA so that he can use those bombers to better effect. Meanwhile on this side, Tiger does pop the T-34-85 at a distance, and my Panzergrens get into position to kill the OB that he's been slowly moving forwards. Now I've got the Tiger also engaging the SG-43, and with the Tiger E Führer supporting it, that's going to be 2-star veterancy on the Tiger E and an extra vet for the Sturm-42 to increase its rate of fire. I've got the BF-19 coming in for the U2 on the left to save it from the Kazakhstan, although it basically suicides. It does end up dropping its bombs and then crashes into the unit as well, so that was quite something. Now BF-109, I gave it an order to the center after that because I was looking for the PE2 here. but now my BF-109 going to be hunting that down. I was obviously concentrating quite a lot on this right hand side, but since I have now the bottom side of the hill fully controlled, I can actually use this bridge just to get my reinforcements here so much faster. So I've got the Jäger MP44, I've got the Hasagoyo Sodoshock, I've got the Jaeger Pioneer, just lots of extra infantry coming in. I'm just going to try and lock down the town, hold on to the 15-9. Meanwhile, in the open, the ISU 152 has come in, but I'm going to be using both my Tigers to engage at a distance. I've also turned off the heat on the Sturm 42, so the HE helps pin down the ISU 152 quicker. My Sturm 42 does end up going down, but the Tiger E is killed. And meanwhile, BF-109 looking for the PE2 here. I did bring in some AA to cover my Tigers in the meanwhile. And over on the left, Flamer's going to be bumping into the Kazakhs and are going to be able to take them out. On this side, Panzer does go down, ends up getting side shot by the Gvardia DP. And, well, that's where a Badgerjelly is going to call it. 30 minutes, 33 seconds. A very, very quick game with the Vanguard. Really just pulling off everything that I wanted to do, managing to get on that hill, controlling the top side of the hill, which allowed me to put pressure on the bottom side of the hill, and then that gives me all the flags that I need. And I think Badgerjelly at that point, particularly losing the T-34-85 on the left with the ISU 152, and having already lost his armor on the right hand side, left him in a very, very tough position in order to push back. So in the end, 1,495 kills to 835 losses, a considerable advantage. And considering it's like 13 minutes, 33 seconds into the game, this is probably about the point where his income is just about kicking in. So already being behind like 700 points, or like just under, is a lot at that point. So I definitely traded well early on, and it worked out. The BF-109s was good fire support early on. Just taking out these U2s is quite important. Stop those like free bombing strikes, basically. I could have maybe invested into 20mm AA instead of the BF-109s. That might have been the better play, because that way I already had the AA in position to stop the bombers, like the PE2s as well, rather than like the BF-109s. Like the BF-109s are a quicker way to deal with them, but I don't think I was necessarily needing to be in a rush to deal with them. Like, if I managed to get a couple of 20mm up at the start, they would shoot them down on their own anyway. So yeah, maybe a little bit of a misplay for me there, just spending the extra cash on the BF-109s instead of the AA. But otherwise, all good. On the left, Kosakin did really, really well, and the FK231 killed the OB and the SG43. This was actually really clutch on the left-hand side. The Tigers did great at distance against T-34, 85, 90, 44. He definitely needs to find his way closer in order to get more reliable penetration on my units. And I think if he'd had leadership with his T-34 85s, it would have been a lot scarier for my Tigers, but he didn't utilize it as much. Like getting these T-34 85 9044s to like 3 vet would have been really good for him, I think. But in the end, yeah, Tigers dominated at a distance. My Jäger MP44 at close range, the Panzer guns and Hasadok with the long and mid-range fire support. Everything just kind of went really, really well in this game. So yeah, good game to Badgerjelly, and that's going to be the first one in round 1. And kind of breaking what I thought was a bit of a curse from the last season, where I lost my first 3 games. I won the first game, so I was actually really happy that that happened. So yeah, anyway, we'll see how it goes in the next one, because we will be playing a second game, of course. But that's it for now. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Goodbye.